All right. Now on to environmental factors and particularly closing triggers. So we've talked about how stomata open, and we're not going to go to the next slide quite yet. We've talked about how stomata open, and now we can also talk about how stomata close. One way that they close is by being exposed to darkness, because remember they have those chloroplasts in there that take care of generating the protons for the proton pump, or sorry, the ATP for the proton pump. Water stress and ABA, and also high CO2 concentrations will close stomata. So we want to first talk about ABA. We have two kinds of responses in stomatal conductance relative to ABA. The most common type is that as ABA concentration goes up in the leaf, stomatal conductance goes down. So the stomata close until you hit a point where there is no more stomatal conductance because there's too much ABA in the leaf. This is for the river red gums. For the mulgas, the slender mulgas, you have something similar when the stomatal conductance is high and they're just starting to go into drought. But then they hit a point where ABA no longer has an effect on stomatal conductance. There's still a bit of stomatal conductance, and then the stomatal conductance will continue to decline with water stress, even though ABA is also declining. And this is because in this region, for the mulga, the stomata are closing because of the decline in water potential in the leaf instead of the ABA. And one last thing is this three-phase response of stomata to vapor pressure deficit. And I've already alluded to this when I showed you the transpiration response to vapor pressure deficit. So let's say you start off with a fairly high stomatal conductance, fairly low vapor pressure deficit. As the vapor pressure deficit increases, you go through your first phase, and during your first phase, your evaporation within the leaf is increasing faster than the decrease in stomatal conductance, and that's why you see transpiration go up with vapor pressure deficit at low vapor pressure deficits. So, first step, increasing evaporation is larger than decreasing stomatal conductance. That's that first phase. Then you go through this second phase where stomatal conductance keeps falling, but transpiration rate doesn't. In this second phase, the increase in the evaporation rate is matched by the decrease in stomatal conductance. Transpiration, and that leads to stable transpiration. And then in the third case, the increase in evaporation is much smaller than the decrease in stomatal conductance, and this leads to decreasing transpiration. That's the three-phase response of stomata to vapor pressure deficit. All right, water relations. We've kind of touched on this already, because basically water is, as I've mentioned many times, and I keep hammering this point home, water is pulled up through the plant from the soil. And the way that's done is it evaporates inside the leaf from the mesophyll cells. So you have this layer of water along the edge of the cell walls of the mesophyll cells, and that's where the water evaporates. And then once it's evaporated, it travels through the air spaces inside the leaf to the stomata and out into the air. The reason why the evaporation of water here pulls the entire column of water all the way down to the soil is because water is very cohesive due to its electrochemical nature. So because of the angles of these bonds and the strength of its polarity, water is highly cohesive, like a rope. And so you pull on one end and it just pulls the whole rope with it. But it can also dissociate easily, and that can be an issue for a plant. Ultimately, what this means is as water is pulled into the air, remembering that the air has a very, very, very low water potential. Minus 50 megapascals, minus 100 megapascals. If the relative humidity is anywhere below, say, 95 or 99%, the air has very, very low water potential. And by pulling the water up from there, water flows from high to low water potential. So in the soil, water potential is at its highest. In the air, water potential is at its lowest, and so you get bulk flow of water following that water potential gradient from the soil to the leaf and up into the atmosphere.